Part 1. You will hear a caller booking a weekend road safety works. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Good morning, City Cycle Skills. How can I help?
I would like to book the weekend road safety workshop. I have been cycling for a while, but I want more confidence in traffic.
That is exactly what the workshop covers. We begin with a short safety briefing, then practice road positioning and signalling. Could I take your surname?
Yes, it is Keating. Keating.
Thank you, Ms. Keating. We initially listed the workshop for the 10th of September, but that session is now full. Your confirmed workshop date is the 17th of September.
That is fine.
The workshop itself starts at 9:30. Please arrive at 9:15 so that we have time to check each bicycle before the briefing begins.
No problem.
We keep the group small. The maximum is 14 riders, not 40. 1-4, so everyone gets enough individual feedback.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen carefully and answer questions 6 to 10.
The total fee is £85. You do not need to pay all of that today. The deposit due now is £25, and the remaining amount can be paid on arrival.
Where do we meet?
At number 12 King Street. Some older confirmation emails say King Road, but that information is out of date. Street is correct. We provide each rider with a helmet. Reflective jackets are also available if requested, although you may bring your own.
Great.
Finally, your booking reference is BQ73. Keep that reference with you in case you need to contact us before the workshop.
That is the end of Part 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Part 2. You will hear a university orientation host giving information about campus services and activities. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15.
Welcome to Northbridge University Orientation Day. I will begin with the main services you may need this afternoon, and then I will explain 3 practical arrangements. If you still need your student ID card, collect it from the Student Hub. The main hall handled ID cards last year, but not this year. Staff at the Hub can also help if your personal details are incorrect. The Study Skills Workshop on academic note-taking is in the library training room. It is not in the open study area, which remains available for quiet individual work. The workshop begins after the campus welcome session. For advice about part-time work, applications, or CVs, go to the Careers Office on the first floor. The Student Hub can answer general questions, but it does not provide jobs advice. Clubs and societies registration takes place in the main hall throughout the afternoon. Representatives from sports, music, and volunteering groups will all be there, so this is the correct place to join an organization.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 16 to 20.
Now, 3 updates. Campus tours normally pass the science building. This week, however, building work has closed the path beside it, so the route has changed. The tour will still take place, even if it rains, and guides will explain the alternative route at the starting point. For the library research session, computers are provided in the room. You do not need to bring a personal laptop. You must, however, bring your university username and temporary password so that you can sign in to the databases. Finally, the sports taster session must be reserved online before you attend. Wear ordinary sports shoes and comfortable clothing. Specialist equipment, including rackets and helmets, will be supplied by the university, so you should not bring your own.
That is the end of Part 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Part 3. You will hear 2 students, Elena and Marcus, discussing a food waste research project with their tutor, Dr. Shah. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Now listen and answer questions 21 to 25.
For our food waste project, we could survey local restaurants and ask managers what they throw away each week. That would give us information from businesses rather than just from students.
The topic is useful, although gaining access to restaurant managers might not be easy.
I agree that access could be difficult. I am also concerned about the sample. If only a few restaurants reply, the sample may be too small for you to draw a useful conclusion.
That is true. We need evidence from a setting where records are available.
Before we settle on the setting, I want to reconsider photographs. I dismissed them at first because they seemed subjective. On second thought, if we use them only to document tray return areas, they could support our observations. I have changed my mind about that.
Used in that limited way, photographs could be helpful supporting evidence.
In terms of the main focus, we could switch to household food waste.
Household data would be interesting, but the university cafeterias already keep regular waste records, and access will be much easier.
Then our final project focus should be food waste in university cafeterias.
Yes, that is a focused and manageable choice, and it gives you a clear population to study.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
Should interviews with catering staff be our main research method?
I do not think so. A timing problem remains. Arranging interviews could take too long, especially if staff are working different shifts. A short student questionnaire would be quicker.
Agreed. Before you design any new questions, the first step is to review the existing campus data. That will show you what information is already available and which gaps your questionnaire needs to fill.
I can review the records, then draft the questionnaire and prepare a short summary of the existing data.
I will organize the photographs, check that we use the same categories in each location, and build the final presentation slides.
Excellent. Marcus will prepare the slides, and Elena will lead the questionnaire and data summary. That division of tasks is clear.
That is the end of Part 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Part 4. You will hear a lecturer talking about the restoration of urban wetland. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen and answer questions 31 to 40.
Today we are examining why cities restore wetlands and what determines whether a restoration project succeeds. I will organize the lecture around their historical loss, their environmental functions, and the management needed after restoration. To begin with the historical background, many urban wetlands were drained or filled as cities expanded. Housing was one motive. However, planners mainly wanted rainwater to leave developed land more quickly instead of remaining on the surface. In other words, they prioritized drainage. That decision reduced flooding in some streets in the short term, but it also removed natural storage areas. The next topic is habitat. Wetlands support birds and a wide range of insects, from pollinators to species that live near the water surface. Fish may appear in larger or permanently wet sites, but insects are the group recorded most consistently across different restored areas. We can now turn to flood control. During heavy rain, dense vegetation slows the movement of water across the surface, giving it more time to spread and enter the soil. At the same time, plant roots bind the soil and reduce erosion along the edges of channels. These two processes work together. Now let us consider water quality. Early reports concentrated mainly on visible litter because it was easy for researchers and residents to notice. However, more recent research shows that restored wetlands can trap pollutants carried in runoff before they reach rivers. This means that the benefit is not limited to removing objects that can be seen. Turning to management, planting alone is not enough. During the first 2 years, regular monitoring is essential so that failed plants, blocked channels, and unexpected water levels can be identified. Maintenance continues after that period, but the early monitoring stage is especially important because the new system is still becoming established. Public access must also be controlled. Raised walkways allow visitors to enter and observe wildlife while protecting soft ground. In contrast, ordinary paths directly across wet soil can become wider over time and cause lasting damage. Finally, when hydrology and vegetation are managed together, long-term restoration can increase urban biodiversity. It can also improve public understanding, but biodiversity is the main ecological outcome considered in today's lecture.
That is the end of part 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers.